4,
3, 2.
Hi guys, we're live. Welcome here to SpeakuP Monday. Today my guest, Stijn van Leeuwen.
Thank you, yes.
Leeuwen.
Almost. Leeuwen, but
Leeuwen.
Yeah.
Almost got it.
Almost
Love
got
that. So today, Stijn, during this time that we're just ideally coming out of, this time of COVID, 2 years here in Bali, the hospitality industry was severely impacted because it relied a great deal on hospitality. Now, a lot of the stories that we hear is, the devastation that it caused. But then from time to time, you get what I call like an outlier. And I'm calling you this outlier because you started your hospitality company almost at the beginning, January 2020.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right, of COVID. And now you're up to 220 staff.
Yes, correct.
Right,
yeah.
Which is over multiple venues that we'll get into in a minute. So that's a story that I really want to hear. And what else is in there is that you're also married to a local, right? Who we met in the kingdom of Kerambatan. For those of you who remember the king.
Yeah, absolutely. In the audience here.
Yeah, she's beautiful. She's right here with us. So there's all these touch points, of people that are either here in Bali, maybe wanting to come to set up business in Bali, or those which are basically saying, well, what are those delicate idiosyncrasies between foreigners and locals that can prove the difference? How do we co-elevate? How do we unite in a way that elevates our business and people here on a social level as well? So there's a lot for us to dive into, and I can't wait to do that. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect. We're here every Monday, 6:30 here at Tropical Nomad. You're welcome to join our studio audience, always free, no need to RSVP and so on. But let's just get started. So paint the picture for us. So I know that you've opened 15 venues for the Hyatt hotels around the world, luxury in this region of the world, in the East. But where did this hospitality feeling start for you?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, Rob.
Almost got your surname right.
Yeah.
I was practicing before. Leeuwen, I got it now. We're good.
Almost. So yeah, it's been a long hospitality ride for me already. I decided at a certain moment I wanted to do the hotel school, and that came first. And then my father, wise as he is, he said like, okay, yeah, that is fine, but it is sort of a semi-private school, and you need to put in your work as well. So I started as a dishwasher at 14, and I just sort of continued to work up. Not that I made the money to do that school, but it made me sort of value and appreciate even more this hospitality life. And 14, a dishwasher, waiter, bartender, at a certain point you go up. And then I started my school, hotel school in Maastricht, which was a fantastic period of my life, but also happy to at a certain moment graduate, which took a little bit longer than I was supposed to do it. But in the meantime, I already in this school got to know a hotel group where I worked a longer time for, because the hotel school I got to do a internship in a beautiful Hyatt hotel in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I spent there 8 months to sort of learn the ropes in international luxury hospitality. But it also ignited a bit for me the idea of what makes a chain and what makes a brand, and where do you want to work for. And for me, I was very linked to that group Hyatt. But I still had to finish my school. When I finished my school, I actually immediately got a good job in a freshly opened hotel in Amsterdam. It was a small design hotel, new concept. So I got to work there through one of my study friends who was a bit older than me, and he said, okay, join and become a service employee, and so we always start from the lowest rank and work yourself up. And that has been sort of throughout my life in a way. So after my stint in that hotel, I did an amazing travel for a year. I was one of those backpackers, and I also hit Bali. And
sorry, did you say bad packer or backpacker?
Backpacker. No, yeah, full of respect.
The bad packer.
Yeah. Well, maybe I was a bit bad, but it was a great year to see Asia and Australia and etc. But coming back after you think like, oh, now you know what you want to do. That's the reason why you go travel, right? You trying to figure out what your next life is going to be. I came back, I had no idea. I started to work in a sales position for a recruitment agency. In the end, you did it, and again, I picked up some good skills from there, because before I never did sales, but I managed to do it okay. But it was always for me the urge to go away. And there was always this thing with Hyatt and with hotel industry and international hotel industry. So I put in the effort to get a job abroad, and I managed to get one again through one of my hotel school friends who was working in a Hyatt hotel in Guangzhou in China, and he got me a trainee position at 25 or 26, 25, a trainee position in a Hyatt that again just opened in Shenzhen, next to Hong Kong, very close to Hong Kong. So again, you go up a little bit, and then okay, trainee, right? Okay, why not? I'm abroad. I can do my passion. I can work for Hyatt. But actually, yeah, it was a great thing, because you're also close to the regional head office there, so you can easily shine and thrive in your position.
You know what? Because we're going to get into this a bit later on, because the one thing which I've really, you use the word passion, right? Like 3 quick takeaways, right, for people watching now, and they're going to learn your background. We're going to go back into that background story that you started. If people watching now saying, okay, hospitality industry, tough time. You open a company that we'll get into in a second. Mm-hmm. If I could say, were there 3, if you can get 3, what were the 3 biggest takeaways or qualities or secrets that propelled you to open and thrive in a time where others are not even surviving? What would you say that they were? And then we'll get back to your backstory.
No, I think you named one already. Passion, obviously. You need to have passion for, especially in the hospitality industry. It's not always fun, but you need to love it, and you need to love making other people happy. I think put in the work. It's really hard work, and if you go through the ranks, it's just not a 9-to-5 office job. That could also be very tough and stressful. But this is obviously very physical, and a lot of feedback all the time on whatever you do. Hopefully a lot of good, but there's also a lot of negative feedback. And as a third, in hospitality, I also think it is still networking. I think you have to be able to stand up and meet that person that might be able to be your next GM or whatever. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to network. Yeah.
Got it. So then, I want to come to your company, and then we're gonna go on a magical mystery tour, okay? Which I think makes it even more interesting. So, 222 staff.
Yeah.
Right. So, where did that start?
Okay.
And what did you have in your mind? Because as we said earlier on, like you're paying, every single month.
Yeah.
220 plus families, and throughout this entire time, right? Yeah. So where did it start, and how did you manage to scale?
Yeah. Now, like going through a few more hotels, doing all the openings for various hotels in Asia Pacific, in Manila, in Bangkok, and even here in Bali, the Hyatt in Sanur, that gained me a lot of experience. But I always had in mind, in a way, thinking back, I want to set up for myself. I want to do this not for someone else, but I also want to do this for me and for my family, which I have now, and to always be be able to say, I decide which direction I go, and not being able to hear, you have to be there at that time and you can only leave at that time. And that is where it started. Coming to Bali, extremely lucky to have found Chitra, my wife, who also comes from a very entrepreneurial family, so that stimulated me even more. And then it was a booming time in Bali. 2018, whoa, 2019, it just couldn't be better. There were so many tourists, so much money coming into hospitality. It was insane, and that made me think, okay, now is the right time. So in December or November, resigned from Hyatt. Big step. I believe that I could make a good career in there. You never know, right? But I believe that was my plan there. Things were looking great. I had the right contacts. But yeah, set up my own company in order to stabilize my life even more in Bali. I love Bali. We got married into the culture, into the Hindu culture, in a way, as far as I personally take it, which is also accepted by my family-in-law. So I just do my thing in a way how I see that. Yeah.
I love it because my wife is from Jakarta.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily with the Hindu, but I get some of the. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
I love the smile on your wife's face as well. She's there. She's like, yes, yes, but it's a work in progress. That's what I can see. Like, by the way.
I do.
All right. So how many people are here in the hospitality industry? Just raise your hand. In the hospitality industry, raise your hand. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So about half. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And then set up my company, and I was very lucky through the way things go, to also have met a group of guys that are, 3 of them are Balinese, 1 of them is Surabaya, accomplished businessmen, a little bit in hospitality, but in tourism, 1 in tourism, 1 in hospitality, 1 in different kind of aspects. And they also saw something in the business plan that I wrote, and the vision that I had, and the experience that I sort of brought with me. So together with them in 2019, December, we decided, okay, this is it. Setting up a PTPMA is not just a thing that you do, because you need some capital behind you as well. So I was lucky to find these guys that we could do this together, and still they're amazing mentors to me. I can ask them anything for doing business in this, and I think that is also part of the success of where I am now, if you can call it a success in a way. But yeah. But then the pandemic hit. That's right. 1 month later. So the happiness of, hey, I got my own company. Yeah. And I got some investors behind me. And whoa, this looks amazing. And what are we going to do? We're going to do this restaurant. We're going to do a beach club. Money. But the pandemic hit and everything sort of went down.
So one thing which I'd like to quickly, because people here probably are wondering what your company is and what it does, which I haven't told them, so I think now's a good time. So maybe what's the name of your company, and what, like a what do you call it, like a lift, what is it? A lift pitch?
Elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch. Okay, there you go. So over to you. What is your company? What does it do? What's its purpose?
Okay, so we actually do have a purpose. That is nice that you mentioned that. But the company is called Sensorial Management Group, or smgindonesia.com. We are a all-round hospitality management company. So I took all the good things, what I learned from Hyatt in a way, as being a management company. We don't specifically hold all the assets of the properties that we manage. And I think that is the key what happened in this pandemic, why I'm now where I am. Because we can sort of lean manage from a head office, but in a way take on multiple properties to manage it through our head office with the different teams that we have in place. Yeah. We manage now 8 restaurants, 2 hotels, and we have a central kitchen for catering, and we service our restaurants and some other places through our central kitchen. So all very commercially set up. Smaller cafes, but bigger restaurants as well. Yeah.
So then I know that one of them is Izakaya.
Yeah, Izzy, yeah.
Izzy.
So we just started this 2 months ago. So when nothing was, when Papa Jokowi did not tell us to remove our masks. So it was really a Corona project. So we managed to get the land, 2,100 square meters on the bypass in Sanur. And the land came to me from one of my partners and said, okay, you want to do something with it? Yeah, let's do it, right? Why not? And there were 2 old warehouses on it, and we managed to turn them around into we like to call it a street out of Kyoto. So it's little Kyoto, so it's a big beer garden with 7 little izakayas and a air-conditioned sushi restaurant and a fully equipped karaoke room. Yeah. So, and that is one place.
So then you mentioned before purpose, right? So there's a purpose behind your company. So what I'd love to hear is so what is the purpose behind the company? What's your own personal purpose as well? So company first, and then your personal purpose.
I think it's actually the same, to be honest. Yeah. That's why it's probably linked, right? But it's let's make people happy. It's as simple as that. Yeah, and then we specified it a bit more into who do we have our focus on, and that is our staff, our employees, our team. How can we make them happy, and not just here's your salary, but what else is sort of possible in a way to make them happy. The second is obviously our guest. And the third is our stakeholders, our investors, right? So we kept it very brief, and now it's the challenge because we grew so hard that everyone lives the purpose, right? And without being too corporate, to that they have to say it, but that they actually want to do it. Hey, I work for SMG, and I just want to make you happy, man. Yeah.
So then, people here in the audience who live in Bali, just a quick show of hands again. So, Tri Hita Kadana, who knows what it means? Tri Hita Kadana. Yeah, no one. I know that you two do, but you're just not raising your hands. That's okay. Okay, cool. So you mentioned happiness. So here in Bali, Balinese have a way of, how do we reach happiness? And Tri Hita Kadana is this triangle which encompasses human to human, which is prosperity, human to environment, sustainability, and then human to God, which I call culture. So these are the 3 aspects that underpin pretty much everything here in Bali. There's a few more, but that one's a major part of Bali. So if you understand that, then you're on your way. So you're in a really unusual position, in a way similar to mine. So your partner is from here. The mine is from Jakarta. She is from your wife is from here in Bali. So people looking in from the outside understand that the motto of Indonesia is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which is unity in diversity. Unity in diversity, which is a very powerful thing because your national motto underpins who you are as a country. The DNA bleeds into pretty much everything if it's followed. So now, as a businessman on one side, you're a husband with 2 kids, right? On the other side, how is this whole marriage with your wife, marriage to Indonesia, Bali, especially for a person who's not from here, who's a foreigner just like me? We're from different places, but what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in doing that? And how did you overcome them? And maybe which ones have you not overcome yet? But I'll give that one afterwards. So which have been the biggest challenges that you faced? I love people to get an insight into what life is like for you. And then maybe people who want to move here or are already here, maybe in a similar position, we could help them, right? We could save them some time.
Yeah. I think the main challenge, if you can call it a real challenge, is sort of that beginning phase. Not really knowing what the culture really is and how to maybe sort of behave around the family, with Papa and Ibu, and because obviously you do something different. At least that's what I thought. You do something different maybe in Holland, where I'm from, or here. But I guess after you go through that, and you're a lot of you get a lot of assurance from your loved one that it's all okay. And the moment you just start to relax and just be yourself, and I think that is what it did for me. I also have to say that my family is very internationally minded here. So my father-in-law has a big international company. Most of the kids have studied abroad. My wife has been in Australia for over 17 years. So that takes away sort of the rough edges of that intense culture shock, I think. Yeah, yeah.
And then on this path of integration, you know, what maybe are one of the things that you kind of think, well, I've got a bit of work to do. I've got a bit of work to do in that area. And close your ears, Chitra. Close your ears. What would that be?
No, yeah, I think it does come down to sort of there's two things that is important here, and one is religion and one is culture, and they are you could see them as similar, but they are not. Culture of the Balinese does not have to be the religion of the Balinese. Those are two. I think there's quite a big separation. Even when we got married, it was more about the culture than it was about the religion. Even though I converted into Hindu, obviously you have to as well. I wanted it as well because, yeah, this is the culture and the religion of my wife and the family, so it makes it all easier instead of her converting to my religion, which is atheism, which does not exist in KTP or in a passport or in a wedding certificate, right? So that is impossible. So doing that and then having good conversations with father-in-law about this, and he explained it actually to me, and I know you're getting married according to the culture that we have. So we had the beautiful dresses and all the ceremony, and there was the high priest and you know, your friends of the royal king of Kerambitan. That is where my wife is also from. So you could think like, oh, but then you know, what happens with a wedding like that? If there's an international boule, however you want to call it, coming into that family. But yeah, I think through understanding of, still that religion and that culture, that is what made me get further in it. Yeah.
You know, I appreciate you answering that, because, you know, by the way, give him a chance to grab some water. So there's nothing that we rehearse here. There's not a question that's set up. I'm going to ask you this question, and it's going to be like this. So it takes a bit of courage to sit in that seat. And by the way, we look at a similar height, but he's like head and shoulders above me. But it takes courage to sit there and to answer questions, especially about the things which are intimate, that are tight and close to us. So I really want to acknowledge you for actually doing that, stepping up. Very much appreciated. And part of this is because, you know, I've been here for 6 years now, almost. Yeah, 2 kids with Indonesian passports and Australian, soon the UK once we work this out. But, you know, there are many things here that I found are different. However, there are many things in here which I find are very comfortable, and some of which might be a little bit uncomfortable. And it's good that we discuss it, because part of the show, what it's about is letting people know who on the outside may be looking in. They know that Bali is a great place. They feel really comfortable here. They feel really safe here. They know that there's a vibe, there's a culture, there's a pure Bali. There's an impact it has on our nervous system. It actually relaxes our nervous system, which allows healing to happen, right? So there's some great things here. So, and then after this, we'll move on to another topic. But if you were coming into Bali for the first time, right, you haven't been here before, right, you're looking to do business here, what would, if there were 3 pieces of advice that you could give to someone maybe coming in from overseas, a foreigner here, into Bali, what would those 3 pieces of advice be?
yeah, like it's sort of in a way, I guess, standard, but respect, right? Respect where you are, respect the people around you, respect sort of, and don't be a, beep it out, right? But yeah, don't be close-minded, right? And I guess that is going to take you much further, and especially also if you want to build a team, right? Because otherwise, things might happen. Nothing dangerous, but things might happen if you don't get that respect back. Yeah. I think number 2 is really set yourself up well. Don't just think like, okay, this is still a cowboy country, even though certain areas like here it might look like that, messy and oh, there's a new place open, there's a new place opening, oh, this is from this guy, this from this is from this guy. But if you don't set yourself up well, legal-wise, I think you're gonna find out the hard way that somehow you're gonna pay, and actually with money, right? And so I think that, and like just go 100% legal. I would honestly recommend that to anyone. Set yourself up. If you start something, get the right paperwork, because you will be caught out most of the time. And a third, if you're gonna partner up with whoever. May it be another expat or someone from here or Jakarta or whatever. Just anyone, just make sure that is also well set up, well arranged. The agreements are there, but also do a bit of background checks, because there's too many examples, and I think you all know them, about how things went terribly wrong, and either one of the two had to go out of the country, or things had to be sold, or one partner took everything. It's just, So I think, more the caution things. But if you have done that, then everything here is better than anywhere in the world to do business. Yeah.
I love that. Now, everybody here in the audience, so shortly you'll have a chance to ask any questions that you may have in your mind. So if there's a question that popped up, write it down, make a note, find a way to record it, and you'll be given the opportunity to raise your hand, and we'll get a third mic over to you. It's probably in about 4 or 5 minutes. So today we're talking about, during this time that we've endured here in Bali, tourism's coming back now. We have huge numbers making their way back into Bali. Those who have been here before, those who got stuck in other places like Australia. Look at you, brother Scott. Was it you went there for like 3 to 4 weeks to finish a business? Got stuck there for 2 years. Right? It's like, so these cases have come up. So the qualities, right? So there are people watching this which are still not out of it. Okay, some may be local, some may be foreigner. Now, you strike me as a being a little bit like me. Like, you seem to be like the glass is half full, as opposed to half empty, absolutely. Right? Okay, so the 2-pronged question that I have for you is, like, where does your spirit come from, is the first part. And the second part is, which qualities would you say are the most important qualities for someone right now who was still in that situation of money challenges, work challenges, maybe challenges at home? There's a huge mental health tsunami about to make its way, but we won't talk about it quite yet. So what would your answers be? And just to rephrase those questions, where does your spirit, because for me it feels, that's what attracted me to you, right? You have this, you're a massive guy, right? But you have this great spirit. Where does that come from? And then number 2, for those people who may be still going through that now, what are the most important qualities that you feel would be the ones that can help to bring them up or help to keep them on this hope for tomorrow wavelength?
Intense questions. I think everyone goes through things in their life, and I think the moment you realize that no matter sort of who you speak to or who you walk into, and there's this great sort of team building exercise with a line, right? That you ask a question, okay, who has been bullied when they were young? Is he like massives? With my language.
Bullied, right? And the bully. Sorry.
But you know, like, and I think if you see those exercises, and I've done that with many of my teams, to actually sort of break it down, like you know, look at each other as just you know, don't be an asshole to each other, right? Like, you know, if someone is late or someone doesn't show up for work or whatever, let's first find out if there's a certain reason behind it, and not just think like, oh, he must have been, you know, drunk or still asleep or he's lazy, right? And I think you know, with those kind of things, I think that is an essential thing, and that is also a bit of a spirit from me, is that I honestly try to understand. What you try to understand from me, the spirit, but I try to understand the spirit of my people, and that just makes me happy. You know, I'm happy to talk to people, happy to have a team, happy to make my investors happy, right? So all those things again come back to the purpose. And I think that is also why we have not stopped growing in the pandemic. And you know, if I just take a little bit back, is that, you know, we just started the pandemic, and it was like, okay, 2 months, like, okay, what is going to happen? And we sat at home, and I tried to, you know, to set up another little business or whatever. No, let's just focus on what we have. And with my investors, we got the chance to open a very small cafe in Sanur. And, you know, so we set up this big PTPMA with, you know, we're going to the stars. And it started with a little cafe, the sandwich bar. Great sandwiches, by the way. And good coffee. And Dutch French fries.
I knew you were bringing Dutch French fries. I knew it was coming. I've got a few Dutchies in the audience that are like, hey.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Look, while we're here,
myself, yeah.
You might as well plug it. Come on.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The sandwich bar.
There you go. Yeah. Where is it?
Sanur. And in Ubud. We also have one in Ubud.
The sandwich bar in Sanur.
Yeah, and Ubud is bigger, and it's doing great.
For the Dutchies watching this, that's where you go.
And the Australians.
And of course, the Aussies are always.
And we served a lot of Indonesian people. We made them eat bread, and it was fantastic. In the pandemic, everything was dead, so that's where it started. And then we got the business to do all the restaurants in the Bali Zoo. So the Bali Zoo entertainment park capture market, but not in the pandemic. There's no market, so you can't capture them, right? But it's a start. So we helped them, they helped us, we consulted them, and in the end, so this sort of came together. But from there, an amazing guy in Ubud asked to do a sandwich bar because he saw the success in the pandemic of our sandwich bar in Sanur, to open there in a prime location, and we're going to do that for 10 plus 10 years, and you know, we just got that spot. Well, no one else could ever get a spot like that. It's super premium. And from there it went to a beach club, and from there I actually run into another partner, another Dutch guy who came, who I met through a friend who was let go or who resigned of his company in Accor. He worked all his life in Accor, same age. And he was more on the rooms hotel manager side, and I was the F&B director. So we decided to partner up and to also start managing hotels. So within a year, we got sort of 2 amazing contracts for very niche, high-end luxury estates to manage them. Not a villa, but estates, so multiple rooms to sell.
Now,
happy.
That was great. The question was, where does your spirit come from? So, for example, right? So my spirit. So in this life, born in 2 children's homes in London, had it tough at the age of 12, studied 100 Years' War. 100 Years' War went on in the Middle East, in Palestine. And a kid next to me put his hand up and said, hey, 100 Years' War, it can't be the same people fighting, can it, miss?
Yeah.
Over my head. 6 months later, racist attack, was a bit crazy. I was left battered, bruised, upset at how I performed or didn't perform, very angry, wanted revenge. 3 days later, I remembered that story, and I realized, fuck, it's not the guy's fault who started it. It's the stories that were passed down from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. He was living out his programming. When I got that, I realized, fuck, I can be part of the solution or part of the problem. So my spirit was coming through that of unity, diversity, bringing people together, holding people, creating events where people can really see each other, right? So this is part of it, right? So the reason why I've done that is because I know that your spirit came from somewhere, but maybe I didn't phrase the question correctly or in a way that was triggering something. So now knowing what you've just heard, if I asked you, brother man, you have a beautiful spirit and I feel the resilience in you, right? I get the smile, I get all of that, and that's wonderful. But I get this, you got
that is sensitive topic. Maybe I've been
you've
hiding
got a beast in there, man. There's a beast inside of you, all of us, but you, I see it clear. My question is, where is that? Where did it come from? So we can get to know you just a little bit more.
I actually had a beautiful upbringing, but and very close to my parents. But at a certain moment, when I was still working for Hyatt, my mom got very sick, cancer, and that also, she worked her whole life, and because she wanted also to supply for us, but she worked all her life sort of corporate. And that even triggered it more for me. It's supposed to be her 65th birthday today. Yeah. But that sort of even more accelerated with me to not to determine my own sort of future, because I did not feel like I want to be sort of work until I die, and she sort of did that, and she got sick and cancer, and she was still visiting, and she made it sort of for our wedding even here, but then it sort of went downhill, and then we got pregnant, and my sister got pregnant at the same time, and it sort of seemed that she was holding out exactly till that moment, because 2 weeks after my sister's baby was born and 3 weeks after my baby was born, she passed. And I think the fact that how she did it for us, that is also what I sort of want to do for my family, but not having to do it, but wanting to do it. I want to run my company. I want to make people happy. I want to start more businesses. So I think there comes a big part of my spirit of,
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And even though I promised you like 4 or 5 minutes ago, about 10 minutes ago, I said, if you've got a question, the mic's coming around. Clearly you didn't. If you do have a question, please put your hand up and the mic will come to you. Bhavna, my sister, for sure. So, Brother Guzman, when you have the time. So before we get to our sister Bhavna, thank you. It's not easy sitting in the chair where you are. It looks easier when you're looking on TV, right? But when you're here, you're like, oh, the lights, the people.
Great conversation.
Brother man.
Thank you.
But I felt you a long time ago, and we felt each other. But it's really cool because, quite often what happens, people are either watching here or watching at home, and you and me, we're both the same, right? In the sense that there's things that we know, there's things that we know that we don't know, and then there's things that we don't know that we don't know. And sometimes those things get triggered in conversations like these. So a question might come up, and it's like, shit, I don't know what the answer is, and it's cool. Yeah. It's like, you don't know what the answer is, that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it comes later, and that inquiry into what I don't know, what I've forgotten is in that subconscious programming area, and that's the whole point of things like this, for us to go with you on that journey, right?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Great questions you asked. Thank you. Thank you for igniting that. Yeah.
My brother, I see the beast in you, man. I see the smile and this charismatic, beautiful man. But I see the beast as well, which is also beautiful. So, Sister Bhavna. By the way, Bhavna Parihar is the first co-host that we ever invited on to Speak Up Monday, and she is amazing. Beautiful person inside and out. She loves to go deep. She loves to go deep. Our sister Bhavna, she's been away. Her parents have been here in Bali for the last few weeks or so. So you haven't seen her, but she's coming back, making a comeback. So we're coming back. So just want people to know you. And so, darling, over to you with the question. Yeah. Wait till we got a microphone? Yeah, just because that way everybody can hear you at home as well. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so thank you so much for that lovely intro, brother. So over to you. So it's very clear to see your resilience, your spirit. It kind of comes through and to hear your story about ambition, compassion you have for others and the work that you do. I'd be curious to understand or hear if you could share maybe a low point in the last 2 years, which was a low point for many people, and then for you, you kind of found your way through that darkness and light, and made some really amazing business moves. But as we all are human, if you had a low moment in the last 2 years, and what that journey was, where you maybe used some of those same traits that you applied to your staff with compassion and resilience, and how you applied that to yourself.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, obviously it's not all high points. Yeah, I think the lowest point that I had and that I had on a sort of a personal level with also with our boy. He's now 2. We had highs only, right? So that is fantastic. So you have sort of that part of your life, sort of the most important part of your life, that was high. The lowest point came actually when last July another PPKM, and we were in hospitality and we were actually doing well, and it went better and better. And May and June, like, okay, let's hire more people. Let's start more businesses. We get to put more people into jobs, right? And that was also sort of part of it. But then this PPKM came, and we were so against sort of what we were planning and doing, is that we actually had to let people not lay off, because we made them on sort of an unpaid break, which is unnatural for the year and a half before that, because it was just about growing. And that just lasted so long, that PPKM, and obviously they did it for good reasons, but it lasted so long. And my amazing management team that is extremely loyal to me, we had to deduct their salaries to a certain level that you can almost think like, this is extremely uncomfortable, and especially because they're so loyal throughout this pandemic, that had to happen. So that was a difficult sort of 2.5 months. Coming out of it, luckily we could grow, and coming out of it, luckily we could, try to compensate a little bit here and there for what happened there. But so that was a low point professionally. Yeah.
And low points, defining moments, turning points. What other turning points have there been in your life that come to mind? Just one turning point.
To actually decide to leave Holland and to go abroad. That was the biggest decision in a way, to start professionally abroad and to leave everything sort of behind what is there. And that was we were on a holiday with my family and in Gran Canaria, Spain, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go abroad. And my dad and me, he was here a few weeks ago. We still talk about that. Yeah, that was a major one, as in professionally. I think personally, there's another one again, but yeah.
All right, the personally, obviously is SpeakuP Monday. Obviously, we have to go into the personal one. Yeah. So let's go there. So the personal one. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's getting married, and it's to make that decision to to really follow the love in life, and to move into that phase of life that I've not felt before, and that happened. And then 3 months after our wedding, to know that we were pregnant, at least 3 months after that. Yeah, so a year after that, born, and that is then you can't describe that in words, right? Your babies. Your baby, yeah,
I know
my
that
boy,
feels like.
yeah, amazing.
I think there's another question behind you. So Sister Bhavna will come back. So before you ask your question, what I'd love to know, as with Sister Bhavna, I can feel her energy here. It's like, Robert, come on, ask that question, ask it. So what I'd love to know is, like, what goes on in your self-talk? What goes on in your mind, right? So there's two, there you go, I don't know what that was, two turning points. One, as you mentioned, leaving Holland and saying, I'm going to go and do this. The other one with getting married, right? Now, these are two strong turning points for you. So inside, I'm presuming there was some internal conflict. Okay, so why am I asking this question? I don't know. They come through me and I ask the question. But if I were to offer a reason, there are many people here in Bali, local and expat, which are probably at the same place, which are in an uncomfortable position, right? They have a mind which is full of conflicting ideas and thoughts. So then my question to you is that if there were any conflicting ideas or thoughts in your mind at the time of those two turning points, if you want to say what they were, that would be great. And then how did you overcome them?
Nou ja, for marriage there was no conflicting mind, to be honest.
Yes. You know what? When it gets to every couple, right, is now looking at the other one, going like, he did good.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm lying. Like everyone knows it. It's just like, fuck, Rob gave this guy like a big hole in the ground. Like the manhole cover had gone. It was like, whoosh, and he never came back. Perfect. All right, done. So number one.
Yeah.
Tick. So number two. So the moving, right, leaving Holland, and then coming to set up a new life. Right, so were there any conflicting inner dialogue? If so, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, of course, but that is leaving everything behind. Literally, your whole comfort zone. And I think that's the same what happened leaving Hyatt, right? To leave your comfort zone is, I think, one of the most difficult things. And my comfort zone there was friends and family and Amsterdam life, and I had a nice house, and it all was just great and nice and fun and the way you think it could be or should be. But leaving it all behind and going to a place like Shenzhen. I've never heard of Shenzhen. Like, okay, you're going to Shenzhen. Where is this? Oh, it's only 21 million people in a city I've never heard of. Right? It's more than the whole of the Netherlands. Right? And to do that, but then to thrive, yeah.
Why did you do it? Why?
Because I wanted to have some adventure. I wanted to be away from small Holland. I wanted to be away from that comfort zone. Okay. And I think that is what I've done multiple times in my life, to get away from that comfort zone. Yeah.
So maybe the weighing up, and we'll go to your question. So the weighing up perhaps is this, I'm comfortable. I really like this. Maybe you're uncomfortable being comfortable. Anyway, that's not a story for another day. But it's like the thought or the feeling of what you could gain is greater than the comfort zone and all of the security that offers.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But I have to say that when I went out of that comfort zone, I did make sure that I had something to go towards. I didn't really sort of... anyway, but that's also me.
Blind leap of faith.
Yeah,
you were calculated, brother.
I was staying in a 5-star luxury hotel as a trainee, so it was not like, what is happening here? No, I stayed in a newly built 5-star luxury hotel, but a trainee in Shenzhen that I never heard of. Yeah. Setting up my company to leave this amazing career that I had and could have had most likely, but to set up my own company, I did make sure that I was set up with the right partners to do so. Yeah. Right? So yes, and I think if I could give anyone sort of a little hint about how I did it is, take those steps and leave your comfort zone behind, because, but also make sure that you have some sort of thing to fall back on, or that you have something set up for yourself. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very, very, very smart. To your question, darling.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you were mentioning the purpose of the company. So I'm very interested, what is your maybe personal or professional long-term vision? And also, how are you applying it in your everyday life, being example for other similar companies? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, like I think a purpose is sort of everything has to sort of still come back there. So even that vision, a mission, and we didn't really determine vision, mission in my company. We just said, okay, this is the purpose, this is where we go for. But obviously, to start a business, I didn't set up a non-profit or an NGO. So my goal is to make a very profitable, well-running, smooth machine that generates a lot of money. That is part of why I think, you know, I wanted also to be out of this corporate life in order to achieve something like that. And that is brutally honest. But to get there, you have different ways. You can go over the backs, or you can take people with you, right? You can still make people happy. But yeah, I think that is the core there.
Emilio, over to you, brother.
Hey, Bob. Your guests, as usual, exceed expectations. My question is, how do you leave this transition, post-COVID transition, which, at least in my mind, there is a transition to this new kind of tourism. In a way, it is different. The areas, the people, the amount of time that people spend here. So the game has changed. It's not like before pandemic. I was involved in real estate and tourism myself before pandemic, so I kind of feel that things have changed. So what's your take on that?
I think let's wait and see if it really changed. I think that a lot of people have this idea, because also the government has said, okay, we want more quality people coming for a longer period of time. I think that's and at the moment it's absolutely like that. But I think in the end, to be brutally honest again, I think we're going to go back to what it was before. I don't think there's going to be a massive change. I think the areas have shifted again, which is also not going to change. It's going to keep on shifting. I see an amazing thing happening in Uluwatu for me personally.
True.
I think that, and we had a talk about it maybe, did we? Yeah, that it's. You know, you don't have to see anyone in Uluwatu, because it's, you know, there's just houses, right? But there's a few streets that you can see people. While here, you have to see people, right? And I think, you know, everyone likes what they like, right? But for me, I do not operate businesses on this side of the island. I operate businesses in Uluwatu, in Sanur, and in Ubud. And I think that's sort of going to be my sickle-shaped, my moon-shaped area for me to operate. So what will change? What is my vision on that? Yeah, I think my vision is that it will not really change.
Very good one. And very good choice about operating, let's say, in areas that are not around here, because here is definitely, we'll see it's super crowded, and yeah. Thank you very much.
And it's a great area to do business if you set up the right business. I think you can do fantastic here. And sometimes I've looked during the pandemic like, oh, these guys in Brava, whoa, you know, they're still just flying, right? Like certain speakeasy bars, certain Italian restaurants, right? Like
I know, run by my friends.
I'm sure, and I you know, I think like, man, and here I am in Ubud and in Sanur, also doing my best, right? But I will continue to do that on that side. And I think there's a lot of great operators here. They live here, they do their thing. They are the faces of their places. And I can be much more on that side, where there's maybe not so many operators.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great questions for everybody in the audience. So we're getting close. We'd like to keep this to about an hour, so we're getting close to it now. Few last questions from me. So on the show, we had a few people over the years, almost up to 300, almost to 300, getting close. So a few weeks ago, we had a guy, Oki Subajo. And Oki, Indonesian, from Jakarta, moved to Bali, very accomplished businessman. he's doing a blockchain project, which Emilio knows all about. And Emilio is in the blockchain space, NFT and so on, which I'll ask you another question about, but that's coming. So, but one thing that we discussed privately and on camera was, this, how do I put it? I don't want to lead the question too much, which probably means I'm going to lead it an awful lot. How do we as foreigners, in your opinion, work together with Indonesia? Because at the end of the day, I'm a guest here. You're a guest here. Even though we're married, our wives are from here. We're not. We have kids which are from here, but we're not. And as much as I love Bali and Indonesia, and I do, that's why I choose to be here, I still feel that there's a greater way that we can co-elevate. I think it's the easiest way for me to put it. So a few weeks ago, which I won't go into again now, but he put forward some of the major challenges that he sees because he spent a lot of time in the US as well. So he's very culturally aware of the differences of mindset, of education, of view about things, right? Ideologically speaking. So the question then is that you're paying 220 plus families every week. The majority of them, if not all, I know are Indonesian, right? Which is phenomenal, okay? But if I asked you for someone coming here from overseas who wants to work in this environment, what would you say are the most important, I'm not going to give you a number, it's up to you how many, but the important considerations and actions that you feel are extremely important for them to do that successfully?
A lot of businesses I wouldn't be able to talk about, but for hospitality, I do think it is important in a way to work together with your local banjars and to actually involve yourself in certain CSR programs. It can also save you a lot of headaches, but it's also just a great thing to do. With our Izzy, we are supporting a local futsal team. Right, so we rent the futsal court for them. We support shirts with our logo on it, but who can see it, right? It's not about that, right? The local pecalang, right? You can work together with them. So I think certain CSR initiatives always remain important. And I think second is which has been amazing about the pandemic as well, I think it even accelerated it more, is the local produce, is people that are here, that are stayed here, that maybe lost their job or don't do this and that anymore. And they started to make cheese or vegan cheese or cold cuts or smoked fish. And I think, they also impact families again from here. So yeah, buy local, right? Like try to source your ingredients from Indonesia or from Bali. And if you can't get it there, then maybe look outside. There's amazing cattle being raised in Java as well for milk and for meat. So you can go for American or Australian, but you can also look a little bit closer to, hey, there is actually great things produced here. And I think too often it's just like, okay, you go to your supplier, your grocery supplier that has everything, right? And you have the whole list. Is okay, I need this. Okay, good. They deliver it. You can cook and you can serve and you can do things. Or you can discuss with your purchasing team or with your team, hey, let's look a little bit more clear in like, do we need to use one supplier or is it okay if we use 5 different ones? Yes, it's more effort, but what does that do, right? And I think that is another way to get Indonesia more internal wealth and to go to the next level. Yeah, yeah. Small things matter, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's very company focused, which is great. Okay. So now I know that you have a team, and a lot of them are going to come tonight, but they're 2-hour trip away. I know that those guys, the people in the team, are mainly Indonesian. They're from here. So on a personal level, then, so that's the kind of big picture business level. But on a personal level, you know, the same question. Like, how does a foreigner? How do you find, or what do you think is important in finding this way to work together?
No, yeah, I think you know, again, I mentioned it a while ago. It might be that understanding, but not just, you know, the word understand. But I do think that if you manage your expectations very well, and also mention like it's not always done in an Indonesian way in my company maybe, and if everyone is okay with that, then we can move forward with that. But also just the understanding that we are in Indonesia, and certain things you do and certain things you don't. Yeah, I think there's many specific examples that I can give. I know my team is watching, so yeah, they know yeah,
that. Give us one example, and then people can attach to something. One example.
Now, I you know, working in Asia for, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years. What is it? 12 something, 13. You know, you don't want to make people sort of lose face in front of other people, and that is not just in East Asia, right? That is everywhere. But in my company, I did sort of establish through doing it that it's okay to have healthy discussions. And in our management meetings, it can go very rough at times with each other. So don't go too much in specifics, but if in meetings we can establish that, and if there is sort of feelings hurt, that there's always that moment of, hey, we had a rough discussion, and the moment you then get, but it doesn't matter, right? And I think then you can move on. And then you establish this team that is just able to say and do things with each other and talk things with each other. And that lifts it up further. Because otherwise, I think you might be able to have a team, or you keep a team that maybe are yes-sayers, or that don't want to really speak up because you're the boss, right? Or however you want to be your role in that company. And that is what you need to prevent immediately, and that is what I have tried to establish, and I think I do get that back. And for me, a very simple thing is always that I don't put on deadlines on my team. Like, I ask them to give deadlines, and if they can't make that deadline, let me know in advance. Then we set the deadline again, but let me know why you can't reach it. So it's your deadline, right? So that is a little bit my management skill in order to, you know, to get as much things done as possible. And there's, you know, now growing to this company, and with another 3 projects upcoming towards the end of the year and beginning of next year, you know, all of a sudden it goes from 220 to, you know, those are big projects coming. So, you know, we are at this point of this popcorn that, you know, so, you know, to really set up that management well and to give them the tools that they need to do their job, and the team members. And that is a phase that we are in now, and it's not the easiest of phases, but it is a phase that we are going through as a team. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. It was, as Adrian keeps storming, norming, and performing these particular roadblock parts in the road. So there's one more question, right? Yeah, we'll do one more question. You got a question as well? My brother. 2 more questions, and then after that, we'll close it out.
Cool. Hi, my name is Dana Smith. I'm a local startup entrepreneur, and I'm specializing in gluten-free, health-conscious baked goods right now. And I'm wondering, is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Super cool, because I'm looking for local partnerships, and I've been building some already, and it seems like that there's a potential for us to do that.
No, and we serve usually, and it's starting again, in the Bali Zoo, a huge Australian community. So if you talk about gluten-free, the biggest gluten-free country in the world is Australia. So, you know, I'll be very interested, and even in my sandwich bars, let's talk,
Amazing.
Let's exchange,
Cool.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Great
Good question.
Great, brother Dana. So we'll pass the microphone forward to my brother over here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
My name is Firman. I used to work in hospitality, but no longer right now. But maybe I will join in the hospitality again. But there is one question, and I think 2 or 3 questions. For at least one.
Brother man, for you, have 2 or 3. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. This is really important, especially for expat or foreigner. I believe this question will be as important for foreigner or expat, especially if they. Sorry, my English. Shit.
Your English is fine, brother.
Okay.
We understand you perfectly.
Especially when they want to open business here in Indonesia. As you know, that Indonesian law and policy always changing rapidly and uncertain. Which one is law is clear. Which one you want to get information, the exact information. Which one is the exact information of the law. It's difficult, right, to get. How does it manage to deal with this? Because even some lawyer, there are 2 lawyers, have a different explanation. This is weird. Law is supposed to be exact, right? But in Indonesia, it's not. And within 6 months or 1 year will be new law or new policy which is changing the previous one. That's the first question. And then second, because of that, every expat and foreigner who want to cooperate with Indonesia, they can open their own business without even local involvement, right? They can establish PTPMA without even local in it, without nominee, without anything. But some expat or foreigner, they want still to be joined with the local, right? And they will confuse because people, especially in the developed country, the law is exact. The information line is exact. Here is not. Again, it's how the way you, get that information also, and how the way foreigner have to make sure which one foreigner expat one have to make sure which part of the law and thing that they have to be understand to avoid like betrayal or violating law, something like that. Yeah, that's only 2. Sorry. Thank you.
My brother, don't be sorry. It's a very valuable contribution. The microphone stays on, so you're good, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, it is difficult, but I think again most important is to partner up, and we have partnered up with a law office in Renon, and they have been extremely on my side, and I think that even though these things change, if you have a team of, understanding lawyers that actually make time for you, and there's a few bigger companies that are saying that they are, like the expat lawyer companies, etc. We didn't go for that. We went for not that, because I needed really enough time with them, and I asked a lot of things with them because it does keep on changing. Again, we are setting up new companies here and there. We need to get land done. We need to get IMB done. That just changed to PBG, and that is not even finalized yet. We don't know where we are, like the building license, and then you have company licenses, PT setups, hygiene licenses, and so forth, right? You have tax numbers, and all these things need to be set up properly. And there was multiple examples of friends that they got their documents made, and on another document that sort of verified their main establishment deed, there were errors, there were mistakes on that, and then I think, okay, maybe some lawyers, they have so much work to do that they don't really focus on you. So I think that is a thing. You bond with your lawyer, have a bond. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I do it. And, you know, in the end, I'm sure that I still do illegal things because the laws have changed again. But you know, it is without me knowing. And as long as these guys are on top of things and trying to change, if it's really, you know, and these are small illegal things because you don't really know until you are asked, and that is what happens here. If they find out something of you and they check on you and they say, hey, this is the old law, you still have a period to revise it. So they say within 12 months, so you still have a year, usually 12 months, to revise that document into what is the right document. So it is not as scary as it might look, but you do need to have someone to watch that for you. Yeah.
You know, so now it's probably a good time. I don't often like cross promote, but what the heck? We cross promote. So I work with Emma Hub, and who are fantastic with the, you know, all of this inbound company setups and so on and so on and so on. And I did recently an interview with a lady called Carly Marshall, this big PR girl, late woman, here in Indonesia from Australia. And that's a great interview because in there we get into the nuts and bolts, the body of what actually you need to do to set up business here in Bali, what you need to think about, consider, of which there are many things, right? So that one will be really good for you to watch. One, and just send me a DM and I'll send that to you. But two things quickly coming to mind, you know, as we begin to wrap up the show. So I'm going to leave you with a question. Then I'm going to do this, I'll let people know what's on next week, and then we'll come back for your answer. So I'm giving you some time to consider, some time to think, right, which is always good. So the question is, you know, like, I love the fact that you're inserted into Indonesia or into Bali in multiple ways, right? Same as me, you know, my wife, your wife, our businesses, and all of this, which I think is great. I like the fact that in our minds and in our hearts, we know that the true power is this. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. That's the true power, right? Powered by Trihita Karana, in my opinion, right? That's where the power is. So I enjoy the fact that there's people like you here in Indonesia, in Bali. This is called Destination Indonesia. It's been 4 years old now, and we're still going to keep going. I don't think we're ever going to stop.
Yeah, you should keep it up. Keep it up.
We're never going to stop. We'll keep on going. So the questions I want to leave you with, knowing all of those things, is what do you think or feel is the future of Bali, personal and professional? Does technology play a part in that? Little push there. So I'll let you think about that one. Then I'll quickly do this. So next week here, Tropical Nomad, 6 p.m., pre-networking, 6:30. We start, right, going on live. I love the words of encouragement. You got a smile from your wife. You did good. You did do very good. We'll get to that. So next week, Health Hub Bali. So the first week of every month. Health is probably one of the most, notwithstanding what we discussed today, but our personal health is one of the most important things that we could ever have, right? So Health Hub Bali, Tracy G will be here with a panel of 4. Dr. Anastasia, I think we've got Ian, we've got Sequoia, and Tracy. There might be one other doctor coming in. Health Hub Bali is an integrative whole health platform which is backed by science and pure Bali, and it's doing something that no one has ever done before, which is this network of allied professionals throughout the world, throughout Bali, creating patient journeys which are really and truly about how we can restore the balance to the body, utilizing multiple different modalities within medicine, but it's science-backed. Phenomenal. I just interviewed a guy called Dr. Dan, who is, we had a great interview, and he's got the Alpha scan. So if anyone's heard of the Alpha thermodiagnostics, it's an incredibly powerful scan that is saving the lives of millions of people. Millions. So check that one out. It's in a past episode. So Dr. Dan, if you can't find it, send me a DM and I'll send you the copy. But a phenomenal guy. He'll be back, I think, in two or three months. So, over to you, brother. I just want to again acknowledge you for stepping up, for saying yes. I know, I think we changed. I changed the dates.
Me too. I changed once, you changed once.
I changed one. Okay, so we changed dates together. That's good. We ended up. But man, I truly appreciate you, and
same here. Yeah,
my
absolutely.
brother.
Yeah.
And we're going to do more of this because there's areas which I love to dive into with you that we can't all do in one show.
Yeah.
But we'll continue. And look, so just to remind you of the questions. So the questions are, like, where do you see, the future of Bali, both personally and professionally, and does technology play a part in that? And if so, let us know where you think technology can come in.
I think I know what you're playing on, and I do think that is going to play a huge role. I think it has been, and it still is, and it will be even more sort of this hub for digital nomads going into blockchain, NFTs, and even one of my upcoming big projects will be incorporating some parts of that. So that's exciting for you also to follow. I will tell you off camera because it's not yet announced.
Okay.
But I think that is absolutely a market that Bali has to attract even more, and I think that needs to be pushed from all different levels, and people need to talk more about it, but also with all the different regions of government, that this could become, like this international hub where this is developed. And I think that also will be very good for Indonesia in a way, because again it gives that exposure of Indonesia, one of the most neutral countries in the world. They're not aligned with any of the big superpowers. They are themselves a superpower, future superpower. So I think technology is going to be a big part. More practical, I hope that Bali is going to act up their transportation issues with. There needs to be a much better public transport system, and I think the moment you have that, and you saw that in Bangkok many years ago, in Malaysia, that Bali is just almost unholdable anymore the way it is looking now. So we need to go over the roads or under the roads, but that also could involve technology.
Yeah. And personal. What future would you like to see?
For Bali, or for myself in Bali?
Personal for you. Yeah.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying here. So my future is Bali, and this is where I'm rooted now, and this is where I will let my friends and family visit. This is where my boy will grow up. This is where he will learn to surf and to cycle with daddy, and hiking. And so for me, the future is Bali. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Everyone, round of applause, guys. Stijn. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.